webinar series, Is Your Council Attractive to the Market? Thank you for joining us today. Your host for the session is Everest Ngenzi, who's a consultant procurement services with us. Next slide, please, Everest.
I have already put that slide on, Ananda. Do you see it? Ananda?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the slide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll start by acknowledging the country. In spirit of reconciliation, LGP acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout this nation and recognizes their continuing connection to land, water, and communities. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Before we start, a few housekeeping tips. Just so you know that this webinar is being recorded and would be available on LGP's website at a later date. I would also be sharing the link with you in a few weeks. The microphones, as I said earlier, have been muted. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A section, and we will endeavor to get them at the Q&A session after Everest presents. And in case we can't get to any of the questions, we'll endeavor to email the answers to you. Now, introducing you to today's host, who's Evereste. I'll give you a bit of a background about him. Evereste Ngenzi is an accomplished procurement professional with 23 years of experience behind him. He has a strong background in public procurement, logistics, and supply chain. And he's had experience in a range of industries like government, NGOs, communities, both in Australia and overseas. At LGP, Evereste provides professional consulting advice and guidance for all stages of tender process, from pre-tender work, tender prep, to evaluation, and also selection of preferred suppliers. Now, without further ado, I'll hand over the session to Evereste.
Thank you, Ananda, for the introduction. Let's get started. In today's webinar, we are going to be answering this question, which is what makes local councils attractive to the tenderers? And to start with, we have good planning, which is the foundation of any successful project. Planning involves thorough preparation before the tender process begins, including defining the project's needs, objectives, budget, timelines, and the criteria for evaluation of bids. Good planning also helps in setting up clear expectations. And also on what makes councils attractive to the tenderers is clear and transparent processes. Now, by clear process, here we mean things like issuing tenders, deadlines for the submission of bids, evaluation, and awarding of contracts. All these must be clearly defined and communicated to all stakeholders. This reduces confusion and ensures that all parties understand the requirements and deadlines. And also the transparent process allows bidders to have equal access to information and a fair chance of winning. It involves openly sharing the selection criteria, for instance, evaluation methods, and decision-making processes, which definitely helps in building trust and accountability. When tender processes are clear and transparent, it minimizes the risk of corruption, favoritism, or bias, and promotes competition, resulting in a better quality and cost-effective bids. It also enhances the credibility and reputation of the councils that are conducting the tenders. Another aspect that makes local councils attractive to the market is having efficient and user-friendly systems. Having easy and user-friendly platforms, for instance, like tender submissions and evaluations. This helps in making sure that all interested tenderers are easily accessing all these platforms and they can work on them so easily so that they submit their tenders without any hassles. For instance, we do have for tenders portals like TenderLink, eProcure, vendor panels that are widely used in many local councils. Now, using online tender portals reduces administrative burdens and makes it easy for tenderers to participate in council tenders. Having an intuitive and easy to navigate systems allow users to perform tasks efficiently without frustrations. So user-friendly tendering platforms, and when they are well streamlined, they bring about high satisfaction to the users. Their overall satisfaction with the systems and organization increases, and hence would always want to participate in tenders advertised by a particular council. This can lead to better relationships and a positive reputation for the council. Another aspect that makes local councils attractive to the market is having good communication, clear, timely, and consistent exchange of information between local councils and potential tenderers. This will enhance the trust amongst the tenderers and increase the activity in terms of participating in the tenders that the council has advertised. And this involves providing detailed information about tender opportunities, requirements, timelines, and the criteria, as well as being responsive to any inquiries that comes from the tenderer's side. For instance, when councils run, say, pre-tender briefings or site visits, these types of sessions do help a lot in providing clarity and allow tenderers to ask questions before they can finalize their submissions. When a local council communicates well, it creates a positive impression and builds trust with the potential suppliers. Tenderers are more likely to submit bids if they feel that the council is approachable, reliable, and transparent. Good communication also reduces uncertainties, enhances good reputation, encourages more participation from diverse suppliers, and ultimately secure better services or products at a competitive price. Another aspect that makes local councils attractive to the market is having fair competition. The goal here is to ensure that all eligible suppliers or contractors have an equal opportunity to compete for contracts, and that the selection process is based on merit, fairness, and value for money. All information related to the tender process, including criteria for selection, timelines, and evaluation procedures, should be made publicly available. This transparency helps prevent corruption and favoritism by making the process open to scrutiny. Encouraging participation from local businesses by ensuring that local businesses are not only aware of available opportunities, but also have the resources and guidance needed to participate effectively. So this does also fair competition would mean that specifications are clearly and not over restrictive, so that it couldn't discourage potential tenderers to submit their tenders. Another aspect where local councils becomes attractive to the tenderers is having the opportunity to give some feedbacks, provide feedback to the tenderers in form of, for instance, debriefing, where the council would offer constructive feedback to the unsuccessful tenderers, and this would help them understand the specific reasons why their bids were not selected. Now, providing debriefs definitely promotes transparency in the procurement process, build trust between the contracting authority and suppliers. Also, unsuccessful bidders receive guidance on areas where their bids could be improved, such as meeting the tender requirements, enhancing quality, or providing more competitive pricing. Debriefs are particularly valuable for small and medium-sized enterprises, which may lack experience in tendering. So debriefs would ensure that all the bidders feel they have been treated fairly, reducing grievances and the likelihood of formal challenges or disputes. Regular debrief sessions help maintain positive relationship with suppliers, fostering a collaborative approach to procurement. Also, the feedback provided during debriefs can also help procurement teams refine their processes and the criteria for future tenders. Another aspect that makes local councils attractive to the market or to the tenders is building a good reputation. Now, there are many ways of where councils can build good reputation. Take, for instance, paying suppliers promptly. This demonstrates good financial management and respect for contractual obligations. This practice builds trust and establishes a reputation of an organization as a reliable partner, encouraging more suppliers to engage in the future tenders. And also, good reputation can come about through highlighting past successful projects. This helps build a positive image that attracts high quality suppliers. A good reputation can differentiate an organization from others, making it preferred client for suppliers. This can lead to better pricing, high quality proposals, and strong long-term relationship with suppliers. Another aspect that makes local councils attractive to the market is having in place support systems and resources that would provide support to the tenders. Take, for instance, having workshops and training sessions to help potential tenderers understand the tendering process. This includes how to prepare bids, meet requirements, and comply with the regulations. Workshop and training can address frequent mistakes or misunderstandings in bidding processes, reducing the likelihood of disqualification due to non-compliance or incompetent or incomplete bids. Establishing a help desk or support system to assist tenderers with any issues or questions they may have during the tender process. Like, for instance, the one we are very much used to are like tendering help desk when tenders are preparing the bids, or e-procure help desks, vendor panel help desks. These are available to help tenderers when they have any issues that they need support from these portal owners, which in most cases are technical. We also have in all the online tender platforms the online forum questions and answers to provide immediate support to tenderers whenever they have any questions during the tendering process, especially when they are preparing their submissions. In conclusion, here is the recap of key factors that make local councils attractive to the market. We've seen effective planning and having efficient, user-friendly tendering systems. This simplifies the process for bidders, encouraging broad participation. We have also seen having clear and consistent communication throughout the tender processes promotes transparency and builds trust with potential suppliers. Also, we've seen aspects like promotion of fair competition, which ensures a level playing field, which attracts a diverse range of high quality bids. Also, we've seen constructive feedback, which is provided by councils, for instance, to the suppliers, giving them feedback in areas of like improving their bids. This would foster strong long-term relationship when it is provided to the tenderers. Also, we've seen a good reputation, like building on timely payments, for instance, and successful partnership in the past projects. This reassures tenderers that the council is a reliable partner. And also, we have seen having in place support and resources available, such as workshops and help desks. This demonstrates a commitment to helping suppliers succeed, making the council a preferred client. By focusing on these aspects, local councils can enhance their attractiveness to tenderers, ultimately leading to more competitive bids and better outcomes for their communities. Now, how can we help? Definitely, we organize and deliver supplier awareness sessions to help suppliers understand how they can engage with us, or how they can engage with councils, ensuring they are well equipped to engage effectively, either through in-person workshops or online webinars. Also, we can develop personalized video tutorials that guide suppliers step by step on how to interact with the council's procurement system. This enhances their ability to participate in opportunities and meet council requirements. We also manage the entire RFX processes on behalf of our council customers, ensuring smooth, transparent, and efficient end-to-end procurement process. Now, after that, we are going to go into a Q&A sessions. In this session, I will invite Margaret, who is our Director of Strategic Procurement Solutions. She's going to join us for Q&A, and I hope the audience has posted some questions in Q&A platform. And Margaret
We don't have any questions yet, Evaristo, but whilst the audience is warming up and getting more courage to ask questions, I would like to ask one. Should the council engage with the suppliers before they start the procurement process, which is open to interpretation? Sometimes councils not sure. So what would be your response to this question?
Me?
Yes,
Margot.
please.
Absolutely engage with the market. It's actually one of the things I was thinking about as Everest was talking. When you engage is absolutely important, of course, because once you may engage, probably right up until you release the documents, you should be able to engage. But the perfect time to engage is during the time when you are planning your procurement. So when you know that you have something that's coming up, or a construction or something, during that planning phase, once you have at least a structured idea about what you want, and you know, that is the perfect time to, you know, call for expression of a roundtable session with the market to discuss a upcoming opportunity with council. And that's the way I would actually publish it. And then invite the people that you know, and where you can engage other people that are there. And once you're in that session, because you haven't gone to tender yet, it's only something you're planning to do, you can speak freely with the market. You know, this is what we want to do. What are the, you know, what kind of ideas do they have that would be, you know, provide a sustainable type of construction, or what kind of things, how would the market feel about it? What can the market do to increase local participation? You know, can you add that into your tender? And just get a feel for what the market is actually telling you. It also gives them a feel as to which way your council and what's important to you, because you could talk to them directly about that. And if you have ideas, or the council has ideas about certain things that it would like to introduce, you can engage that as a conversation with the market as well, and actually see whether or not the market is ready to respond to something like that. So absolutely, market engagement. Once the market engagement's completed, that's when you finalize your documents, and then you go to tender after that. And then you can tell them during the market engagement that we can freely discuss now. Once the tender is released, well, then you can only conduct your questions with the tender officer.
Okay, thanks, Margaret. When I was
have a
waiting,
question.
When we were waiting for the questions, I had prepared 2 questions for Margaret. If we have no questions,
We have one question, Evaristo, from Ray. While we share the selection criteria with tenderers, are we obliged to reveal the percentage of each component of the criteria?
No. There is nothing in legislation that says that you have to reveal the percentage. Even if they rant and rave, you do not have to give it to them. However, I know that some councils choose to provide the percentages, others choose not to. It's up to the council, it's up to the procurement people that are in there to weigh up the risks and benefits of either publishing or not publishing.
Thank you, Mark. Is there any other question, or can I go on with my question?
No more questions. You can go ahead.
There's one more question.
Now
we got one.
Mihela.
Oh no, that's a thanks.
Now, Mag, I just wanted to.
We have another question. There's a question from Gillian Goddard. She says, are you aware of any great visual frameworks or diagrams that outline a great structure to councils to support businesses / tenderers that incorporate some of the resources you discussed today? Is there any framework or visual diagrams that outline the structure for the councils to support? Yeah.
Can you read that question again, Ananda?
It says, are you aware of any visual frameworks or diagrams that outline a great structure for councils to support businesses that incorporate some of the resources you discussed today?
If I can go first, Mag, I think there's no any visual diagrams that represent all these things we've discussed, but that is something that can be built, because visual structure that would show the way council would look attractive to the market. It can be like a marketing tool, kind of a thing where a council can develop that visual structure or visual diagrammatical impression of these processes or these aspects that makes council attractive to the market. We don't have any visual structure now, but it can be created to encompass all these things we've discussed.
I think, if I may add, different councils approach it differently. I know that we did some work with a metro council several years ago, where the way they did it was they engaged us and we created multiple different small video tutorials for them, and they uploaded those, and what they felt, and of course that's something, as we talked about at that time, is that the video tutorials were there for the market, because the market is not always available during 9 to 5 business hours, and it was a way to make it less stressful for people to read material, because oftentimes the people that they want to engage with councils and make that engagement easier are small local businesses, sometimes very often sole traders, who are not great at reading long documents and things like that. So the video tutorials were a way to help them. And of course, in those video tutorials, they were able to provide their messaging as what they wanted to achieve as a council and how they wanted to engage with the market. So that is one way of doing it. Certainly a dedicated page on council's web pages where you can say, and engaging with how to engage with council and really make it. I think it's about messaging rather than making it about, this is what you need to do to engage with market. You need to do this, 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 this. Yes, you can say all those things, but just flipping that messaging around and saying how we want to build relationships and make it more about relationship building and more about positive aspect of bringing people in, and what are your benefits of working with councils, and showing the attractiveness of doing that rather than just the list of the obligation list of you must do this and must do that. So making it balanced and more interesting for people to want to be there.
If there is no
We have one more question, Barrister, from Claudia. Are there any additional consideration that can make councils more attractive, specifically to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander organizations?
Yeah, I know that a lot of councils are on the pathway in their journey of Reconciliation Action Plan. I know that Reconciliation Australia can work closely with councils to do that. Whether it's with the procurement that are currently listening to this webinar, or whether it sits with, I don't know, within council in corporate services in another area, and maybe not with finance and procurement, I would explore to find out what your council is actually doing in that area, and make sure that whatever program is in place for that, for a reconciliation plan, filters through with some initiatives and agendas through to procurement, because I'm quite sure that most councils would probably be on their journey including Aboriginal businesses. LGP certainly is on its journey to do this, and you will see more and more of this coming through in our contracts into the future. It is a policy, and I know a lot of councils have that policy as well. And a lot of people look at it and say, how do I translate policy into action? You need to include it as questions in your tenders and say, we encourage so in your tenders, when you're saying we encourage Indigenous companies to apply, that's great. But what we've learned from our journey with Reconciliation Australia is that they're engaging Indigenous companies is different from engaging with normal companies, that there's more of this, they really rely on relationship building and having those relationships. So I think that you need to do a lot more of that engagement and getting people across the line and on board, and maybe look at creating your own little Indigenous panels that you can tap into and utilize.
We have 3 more questions. I'm not sure if you would like to respond now or you respond via email. So there's a question from Bruce. How do we engage with the market pre-tender and not be seen to be playing favorites?
I would say a little bit like I was saying before. So engaging the market pre-tender. So when obviously there's some people that'll go, I know these 4 people out of the market, so I'm going to call them in and I'm going to talk to them. That is one way of doing it, and there's nothing to stop you, but that will not increase your reputation with the broader market. So what I'm suggesting is having that, actually publishing in the newspaper and saying that council is looking at doing this, and we would like to establish a roundtable session or workshop with the market to discuss, innovation, to discuss different elements of it, and once you put it into and you publish it like you would normally an open tender, it's not an open tender, it's an roundtable discussion. But once you've done that and you've actually advertised it, you have given it to the market. What comes back are the people that are interested. And then if anybody, you've done then what you needed to do to engage the market without having favoritism. The people that know you will come along anyway and should. People that you don't know, you have an opportunity to get to know, and people who don't respond, they had the opportunity but didn't. And it's as simple as that. And you can even include that in the tender. You can say there was a roundtable session, it was published, it was people turned up for it, and it was open to the public. And these were the things or findings that we gathered from that open session.
We have another question.
Yep.
Do you have any advice or suggestions for regional rural councils specifically? This may be a factor in our recent tenders not receiving many bids, perhaps due to a lot of relevant contractors being based in metropolitan areas.
So is it, without seeing the documents, it's a bit difficult, I suppose, whether or not to ascertain whether or not there was anything in the documents that was shutting those people out, or whether it's because if it's a road, I know this is our experience with LGP working with councils in remote and regional areas, is if it's something like road building or something like that, it is difficult to get some of the big guys to come out there, and you are limited to probably the larger mid or internal cities that can support that. And I'm not really sure. I'd probably say I'd have to have a little bit more deeper discussion with you to see what it is that you were looking for. What was the type of goods or services, and then because you can't have a blanket response to that.
Mm-hmm.
One more question, and the last one. Any advice on strategies how to make panel contracts more attractive to potential tenderers? We have issues where panel members are not getting jobs from an established panel contract.
Yes, tell us about it. So what we've found is that and we have LGP has quite large panel contracts, so you know, getting the engagement from everybody is always difficult. Being on a panel so what we do is start as you mean to go. It's in the tender briefing or in the contract implementation. Let's say you've gone through the tender process and you are now having the contract implementation session with them. That is the time to talk about the look and feel and how is that the next 3 years going to look like, and to really fundamentally for you guys, although if a council puts together a panel, it should be because you are the user, the end user. It's a little bit different for us because we talk about that self-promotion and then promoting to councils. With you, when you put together a panel contract, the panel is for you, the council themselves. So I suppose the way you would want to, if you want to ensure that everybody on that panel gets business, is you need to encourage your users to alternate. And, you know, I mean, and also you would have to, at tender time, come up with the right balance of how big is your panel. Because if you make it 2-panel, a single council will find it very difficult to support business for all of those people on the panel. And again, that comes down to the scope of the category of goods or services that the panel is being established for. But happy to talk to you about that.
I know we are a bit over time, but Chris had a hand up, and it's actually the last question. That's I guess, is regarding the market engagement, and the question is roundtable versus expression of interest. Key differences: less formal but more valuable in many ways.
So the difference is this, in my mind: the market and most councils see expression of interest as being the precursor to a tender. So when you do, and the legislation will actually guide you towards that. To do a selective tender, you must first do an expression of interest. And an expression of interest is a document. It's not a dialogue. It's not a conversation. There is a difference in how you approach that. So in your mind, if you want to be able to have conversation and say, we're looking at doing this and this is what we want to do, what do you think? You're getting instant responses to that, and then there you get that dialogue. Because as you know, when you're in a dialogue, you can have follow-up questions. When you're in an EOI, it's not the same. You're not going to get that same type of open communication and free communication that comes out between when there's 10 people in a round table, one person says something, and then it generates interest and other people say things as well. When it's a document, when it's an EOI, it's structured, it's formal, and there's not much engagement going on there. So one is actual stakeholder engagement. The other one for me is very formal. I would probably do the EOI when I know I want to do an EOI to the open market, and then I want to filter it down to a shortlist that I'm going to have a selective tender for. The two things for me are quite different.
All right, thank you.
We don't have any more questions. Just
but,
what I wanted. No, that's no more question. I just wanted to add to what Margaret said, that the market engagement is also an opportunity to talk with the market about mandatory criteria. We learned from a recent project that can be interpreted by tenderers, and if it's not correctly explained or put in a document, it can cause all sorts of issues further on.
Now, thank you, Mihaela, and thank you, Margaret. And Chris's hand is still up. I guess Chris wanted to say something. Is it Chris? Can you unmute and say something?
They can't unmute Everest.
Okay.
No, but
settings.
I guess
I'll
his
see if I
question
can
has been captured from what he posted on the
Okay,
Q&A.
I've allowed his mic. Chris, did you want to say something? Okay. If he wants to. All I want to do is wrap up and from my point of view, just probably say this: communication is the key. It doesn't matter in what format you choose to employ communication. Communication is what's going to get you the best result. It's going to make you more attractive no matter what. And so for me, when I say providing feedback for those that try is telling them that their time is valued. Providing feedback in person tells them that they themselves are valued, and providing specific and considered feedback tells them that they can improve and that they should try, and that you are welcome to see them come back again. We've got I saw a pop-up somewhere. It was a message somewhere. Something popped up. Oh, thanks everyone. Okay, that was a thank you. All right, I'm done.
Thank you everyone for your time, and we appreciate your presence on this webinar, and we will be uploading the recording on the website in due course, and I hope to see you again in another series of webinars we're going to host with strategic procurement solutions. Thank you all and have a great day.